Good afternoon, everyone. I hope all of us are fine. Ladies and gentlemen, for those that do not know me, my name is Mr. Alex Songo. I am the grade 7 natural sciences teacher. We have been together for the past 6 weeks. Today is the start of week 7. It's been an absolutely great experience for all of us. And we thank you each and every day for joining us during these tough times. Ladies and gentlemen, we are hoping and praying that we are going to have a very good lesson. We are going to enjoy this lesson. And most importantly, we are going to learn as much as we can from today's lesson. Now, just to clarify for those of us that might be confused, you might see that it's written natural sciences and not technology. The reason for that, ladies and gentlemen, is that for the past 2 weeks, we've been doing technology. As a result, we have completed the syllabus in relation to technology. Unfortunately, we cannot go on to the third term for either technology or natural sciences, which we've actually completed. So the best thing to do is for us to look at natural sciences term 1. This is important. Why? Because, as we know, we had an unfortunate abrupt ending of our first term in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic. As a result, most of us must have forgotten what we're doing in the first term in natural sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, as per norm, I would usually have corrections from the previous activity. And you would remember that the previous activity that we had was actually speaking about you trying to do your own cell phone towers. Remember what I said? I said cell phone towers are important in technology. They give us 70% of the mark allocation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's important that we start so that when we open school, whenever it will be safe for us to do so, and we'll be given directive, of course, by the Department of Basic Education. And once we do that, you would have been a step ahead of the teachers as well as all the other learners. So I hope we have started. It would be nice if some of you might actually share some pictures of your cell phone towers or any materials that you've started to use. I know it's not an easy activity, but I believe that most of us are going to do absolutely great and get that full 70 marks. So what is it that we are doing in natural sciences today? Like I said, we are looking at term 1. So therefore, we are going to start according to the annual teaching plan, which guides us and tells us what topics that we need to start with. So therefore, today, the topic that we are looking at, ladies and gentlemen, is the biosphere. So by the end of this lesson, we want you to have succeeded or achieved the following objectives in relation to our lesson. The first objective is understanding what we mean by the term biosphere. That is the first objective. The second objective is to understand where the biosphere is found on Earth. What are the particular parts that actually make the biosphere? I want to quickly access the chat box if there are any questions in relation to what we are doing. Again, I repeat for those that possibly just joined us, that we are doing natural sciences and normal technology, and that is because we have completed the syllabus for term 2 in technology. Ladies and gentlemen, Tiana is back. Welcome, Tiana. We are very, very happy to have you. The entire class was wondering where you were. It was actually very interesting. It was almost as if we're doing the normal school register. I see Palisa is also just joined us. Welcome, Palisa. And Nameto, welcome also. We've never actually met you before. I see that we are getting a lot of new people. Tiamo is here, Devonte is here, Tyrone is also here, Joanna is also here, there is Tiamo, and of course, Lifa. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Most of you that are there are always here, and I truly, truly do not take that for granted. I truly appreciate your presence. We are all learning from each other. This has been absolutely amazing. Tiamo has got a question. Tiamo is saying she did not finish the lesson last time. Tiamo, we've also missed you a lot. I see that you're stating that you miss us all too. Remember, Tiamo, what I've been saying throughout the lessons. You can actually access the African Teen Geeks YouTube channel, and there you can be able to have a look at our lessons that we have done. You can have the ability to pause, to fast forward, to do whatever it is that you want to do. So simply just visit the YouTube channel for African Teen Geeks, and you should be fine to understand. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also just state that today is actually my last lesson with you guys. I truly, truly appreciate you. I've learned so much from you. I am going to miss you dearly. The past 6 weeks, as I've stated at the beginning of the lesson, have been absolutely amazing. But we've got a teacher that will be joining us from tomorrow, and is an amazing teacher. You guys are going to enjoy him. I will actually see if we can actually have an introduction of him at the end of the lesson. So the objectives are shown on the screen currently. Let us continue with our lesson. As per norm, what we usually do is we give you some questions that we want you to think about as we are going on with our lesson. The reason for that is so that you can start thinking about the biosphere or whatever concept that we are speaking about. In that regard, it forms a basis of understanding so that we can be able to assess where you are at a certain point in time. So the first question, ladies and gentlemen, is asking, what is the biosphere? Do you have any idea what we are speaking about when we speak about the biosphere? Remember what I said? We did this in the first term at the beginning of this year. The second question is asking, where do we find the biosphere? In which portions or which parts of the earth is the biosphere actually found? So these are the things that we are going to be speaking about. Let us continue. I see how is answering the biosphere is the easiest thing to learn. I like that. It means Habu knows what they are talking about. Habu continues to say the biosphere is all the parts of the earth. I agree with you, Habu, but I also feel you have not completely responded to what the biosphere is. So that's fine, because that is the purpose of this lesson. So on the current slide, we are defining or explaining what biosphere is. Ladies and gentlemen, throughout my lessons, I've been saying to you, in natural sciences or any other subject, if you are given a word that seems confusing, it is usually made up of 2 words. If you break up those 2 words, it becomes easier for you to fully understand what that word actually means. So in the case of the biosphere, let us see if that actually works. Bio means life. So wherever you see anything that is bio, it means life. For an example, a long time ago, life sciences, which is now called biology, which is now called life sciences, is actually the study of life. So it was called biology a long time ago, and biology is nothing else but the study of life. As I've said, a long time ago, it was termed biology, but now we know it as life sciences with the new curriculum. So bio means life in that regard, and anything that is a sphere or something that is spherical, it simply implies that that thing is actually round. Ladies and gentlemen, in mathematics, we speak about shapes, and that's where we touch on the sphere and all the properties related to the sphere. So what does that tell us? If bio means life and sphere is round, it means that the biosphere is in fact the earth. Because remember, we assume that the shape of the earth is a relatively circle or circular or spherical or round, if I may. But it does not end there. The biosphere speaks to the parts of the earth where life is found. How do we know that something has got life? It goes through the 7 life processes, which in fact you guys will be learning about tomorrow. So now the things that have life, ladies and gentlemen, would be animals, which include animals in the form of, for example, your cows, your dogs, as well as human beings. Remember this term, or in the first term, we speak about the classification of living things. When we classify living things, human beings are classified in biology or in life sciences as animals. So animals are part of living things, and things that are living or the parts of the earth where life is found are, for example, air, water, and land. I repeat, the parts of the earth where life is found are divided into 3. That is the air, that is water, and that is land. We are going to look at this in more detail as we continue with our lesson. Ladies and gentlemen, as I've always said, pay attention to the underlined or the words that we've put in bold. Why? Because these are going to be important for your assessment. Will it come if it comes in a form of an assignment or a test? Because we'll be asking you for scientific terms, for true or false, or for multiplications. So multiple choice questions rather. Excuse me. So each and every time we bold something like this term, biotic, if I may, that's important because you will be assessed on those terms. So when we speak about biotic components or biotic organisms, what are we talking about? We are speaking about plants and animals. which need water, air, and food, space, favorable temperatures, and protection from animals for them to survive. So basically, biotic components or biotic organisms are all the living things that are found on Earth. And I said the living things are plants as well as animals. Animals are inclusive in the organization of living things or the classifications. We are included also and categorized as animals. Let's go on to the second bullet there, or point. So organisms are adapted to survive in their specific environment. What does it mean? Ladies and gentlemen, you are a human being. You've got a nose to breathe. You have got lungs. All of these organs are adapted for you to live on Earth. If you were to try and live even just for an hour underwater, you will find immense amount of difficulty because you are not adapted to live underwater. However, if we think about fish, fish are more than adapted to live in water. I hope you understand that. We are going to go to that Kushi. We are going to speak in more detail about the atmosphere, the lithosphere, as well as the hydrosphere. We are going to go there. I see, okay. All right, I see that Tiana wants to take her textbook so that she can have a look to see if we are actually speaking about all the things that are in the textbook. Tiana, you are more than welcome. Remember what I've always said in these lessons. Everything that we learn here or everything that I'm teaching you is through research that we get from textbooks, as well as, of course, any internet resource. That is why at the end of each and every lesson, we've got links that will assist you to go and have a look for yourself so that you can study at your own pace and your own time. We are currently sitting on 25 participants. Thank you so much for everybody that is here and some of the people that might be joining us for the first time. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a picture illustration of the biosphere. So here are the birds in the air. Remember, birds are animals, so that's an example. We've got animals in the ground, as you can see. We've got animals underground. We've got vegetation, which are obviously speaking about plants or crops or all of those other things. Then we've got dead plants or organic matter. What are these, ladies and gentlemen? Remember, when things die, like animals, they are actually buried underground, and that assists us to make or fertilize the soil. So in the cycle of life, all of that is actually important. Those are called microscopic organs in a lot of instances. Why? Because micro means you cannot see them with your bare eyes. Here we see the water part of the biosphere, and we see fish that is found here, marine living organisms, as it's stated. So in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen, this is the biosphere. We have not spoken in detail about each and every word of the biosphere, but we are going to do that in the next slide. So here are the areas of the biosphere. We are saying the biosphere is grouped according to different areas where life is found. I have stated in the first slide that life is found in 3 parts. That is the air, the water, and the land. But it's not as simple as that. These have got scientific terms, and this is what we are going to learn about. We are then told that the biosphere is separated into smaller parts, which are called ecosystems or an ecosystem. In grade 6 natural science and technology, we speak about an ecosystem, and some of you might have done an investigation of an ecosystem, find out how animals, living things, and non-living things interact with each other. So what is an ecosystem? An ecosystem is a small area of land where living things and non-living things interact with each other. What does it mean? It means that, for example, the water that you drink, which is not living, your interaction with that, and also the cow, for example, if you eat meat, and maybe if you are a vegetarian, if you eat only plants. So that interaction between yourself that forms what we call a food chain in an ecosystem also speaks about what a biosphere is. Ladies and gentlemen, like I've said, life is found on 3 parts, and we are going to discuss these 3 parts extensively for the remainder of our lesson. I see that there are some flashes in the chat box. Let me quickly have a look so that we can get. Oh, Kiandra is here also. Welcome, Kiandra. I was wondering where you were. Bunolo is back. Thank you so much, Bunolo, for coming back. Bunolo, unfortunately, I cannot answer if we will be repeating Term 1 technology or we will not. That will be determined by the seniors of the STEM Lockdown East School. And of course, that will be dependent on the time. So for now, let us have a look at Term 1 Natural Sciences, because remember, when we write an exam, particularly the June examination, you are required to know Term 1 as well as Term 2. So that's what we are doing. So this is a great form of revision for yourself. All right. So the first part of the biosphere that I want to speak about is what is called the lithosphere. We are told the lithosphere is the part of the earth where you find soil, land, or ground. So the part of the earth where there is soil, land, and ground, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the lithosphere. Many plants and animals live on the ground or underground, as I have shown or stated in this slide. So this part that is brown here is our lithosphere. We are told it makes up a large pool of the biosphere itself. So the animals that are, of course, on top of the land, and of course the plants that are whose roots are growing under the ground, and of course the microscopic organisms and all the other animals like worms that live underground are forming part of the lithosphere. That is our brown part. I hope you understand. We spoke about organic matter, and we said this is an example such as bacteria, and the importance of this is to fertilize the soil, because when they die, they become biodegradable, meaning that they give the soil nutrients so that when we plant, we can be able to get fresh, nice food, fruits or vegetables. And that is the circle of life, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, in the food chain, it all begins from the sun, and then it goes to the plant, and then of course it goes to us, and then it goes back underground, and that circle continues. So here's just an example of the ground. This looks like mountains. As you can see in green, these are our plants. The same applies with this one. This person, as you can see, they've got animals with them. They are probably coming from feeding these animals. So these pictures are just showing you the lithosphere. Remember the important aspect to understand about the lithosphere. It refers to the ground. It speaks about also the underground, wherein all the majority of the animals are found or where they grow. As yes, absolutely solid rocks and soil are part of the lithosphere. I am glad that we understand. Well done, Celiwe, for that. Let's go to the second part. The second part, ladies and gentlemen, is a hydrosphere. The word hydro actually means water. So these parts only speak about the water part of the earth. This is made up of our oceans, our rivers, our dams, and of course in places like Iceland, where it's made up of ice. Those places, all of them that have water, are nothing else but what is called the hydrosphere. As you can see in the examples that I've given, your fish is largely found in your hydrosphere, and of course some plants. I want to go to this first picture, which is illustrating the biosphere in its fullness, which is in blue. As you can see, this is the part that we're talking about. Here is our fish. And of course, this looks like the animals, which also some of them are adapted to grow underground. So the hydrosphere, hydro simply means water. And water implies our oceans, those are the seas, the rivers, ladies and gentlemen, the dams, as well as icy land areas. So we cannot speak about the hydrosphere without talking about the water cycle. And this is how everything actually comes about, ladies and gentlemen. We've got our evaporation, we've got our transpiration, we've got condensation, precipitation, as well as infiltration. So all of this is what results in the rain itself happening. Ladies and gentlemen, I see there is some flashing there. I want to have a look so that people understand. Okay. All right. Yes, Celiwe, absolutely. Water in its liquid in its liquid state, or water in its solid state, all of them are actually hydrospheres. I like that you are finding a connection between the states of matter. And of course, it means that water in its gaseous state is a good example also of hydrosphere. If we speak about that in an exemplary term of what we're looking at right now, it would be evaporation. So water in its evaporated state, which means in this gaseous state, or water as it comes down as water droplets. All of those, ladies and gentlemen, are examples of what we call the hydrosphere. The last part that I want us to have a look at in relation to this lesson is the atmosphere itself. So when we talk about the atmosphere, what are we talking about? The atmosphere, ladies and gentlemen, is the air. So now what type of examples of animals are found, in fact, in our atmosphere? Those would be our birds that are always flying there, as well as our insects. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are hoping that all of this is making sense and you are understanding. So if you go back to our illustration, we can see this is the atmosphere, but it does not end there. By it does not end there, I mean there are parts of the atmosphere. And in particularly for our grade 7, 8, and 9 level, it is important for us to have an idea of all of these parts. As you can see here, it starts with the troposphere, it goes to the stratosphere, then the mesosphere, the thermosphere, and of course, the exosphere. So here are the 5 parts of our atmosphere. So when we are talking about the ozone layer, remember we spoke about how in the previous activity, or rather in the previous term when we discussed term 2 for natural sciences, we spoke about the human impact in terms of the environment. We then spoke about how the environment, when we burn things or when we throw things haphazardly on the land, that actually damages our atmosphere as well as our environment itself. A lot of people, even when we spoke about technology, they spoke about why and how this happens. So here is our ozone layer, ladies and gentlemen, the layer that is found which protects us from the sun rays. So now, obviously, when we impact our environment, this layer starts to have holes, and as a result, our temperatures begin to increase. Then we start talking about what we call global warming. I want to look at some of the questions that are here so that we can understand and, of course, interact as much as we can. Joanna, you are correct. 78% is actually nitrogen of the atmosphere, that is. All right. So I have a nice video that I want you to have a look at, but immediately after this. So ladies and gentlemen, this is just a summary of everything that we have done or everything that we have spoken about today. So basically here is our atmosphere. Instead of writing it in point form as takeaway points, I felt that it would be easier for us to understand if we simply have a picture which summarizes everything in a single illustration. So here's our atmosphere, which is the air. Here is our lithosphere, which is our earth or land, and of course our hydrosphere, which is our water. I want to quickly share another screen so that we can play that video. It is important that I actually tell you that this video is actually I got this video from www.study.com. It is an interesting, full of good study materials website. When you find time, ladies and gentlemen, go through it and see some of the interesting things that they might have there. They've got quizzes, they've got great notes. It will actually assist you a great deal. Let me quickly access it so that I can play it for you. All right. Bear with me. Okay. Go. All right. Seems to want to install. Apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. There is the video. Finally got it. All right. I am hoping the audio is going to be good. Let me just open up the volume. Remember what I said. This video was gotten from www.study.com.
places where life can be found. Since life exists in the air, on the earth, and on and in water, the biosphere overlaps, connects, and influences all of Hydrosphere, and they all affect the biosphere. The sheer number of organisms on Earth, however, the biosphere is actually fairly slow in size. Most of the biosphere's length is found between 500 meters below the surface of the ocean and 6 kilometers above the surface of the Earth, although there are organisms, especially microorganisms, able to live at higher and lower depths. The biosphere is quite old. Its creation coincides with the appearance of the first bacteria about 3.5 billion years ago. As life has changed and become more complex, so has the biosphere. Where does the biosphere sit on a hierarchy of life? Since it encompasses all places where life exists, one might expect it to be near the top of the pyramid. And you'd be right. Atoms, molecules, cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, organisms, populations, communities, ecosystems, biomes, biosphere, Earth. Just beneath the biosphere of this pyramid are the biomes, or large communities of organisms defined by a particular climate. Below biomes in the hierarchy are ecosystems, which are usually defined as even narrower and more specialized populations that interact with the physical environment. For example, in the image here, red symbolizes high concentrations of energy.
All right, guys, thank you so much. This is where the video ends. I'm not sure if the audio was fine. I'm hoping that you heard, you saw as much as you can. Remember what I've been saying with some of these videos. One of the best things to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to actually look at the illustration itself more than the audio, because sometimes we've been seemingly having some problems. All right, so before I go on to the next slide, I was just speaking with Thiari on the background, and I was asking if we can actually have some of you guys unmute your videos so that we can be able to wave each other, seeing that this is my last lesson with you guys today. That would be absolutely amazing, so that we can try and put some of the names to the faces that we've been actually spending time with for the past 6 weeks. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is what I want us to do as an activity. Number one, I want you to use your own understanding from everything that we have learned today to be able to define or explain what the biosphere is. Remember, I said these homeworks or activities that we do at the end of each lesson are important because they prepare us, or they assist us to get used to the questioning style that will be used in an exam situation. This assists us so that when we find these, we are not finding ourselves wanting and therefore failing unnecessarily. I see that we are sitting on 27 participants. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you that just joined us, we truly, truly appreciate it. All right, so that is question number one. Number two, may you draw your own illustration or diagram to show all the parts of the biosphere which we have discussed so far. That is the lithosphere, that is the hydrosphere, as well as the atmosphere. So just a drawing in any which way that you can, that will show us an illustration so that we can see that you understand what we are speaking about. Question number three, what is the scientific name that is given to all living things? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this question comes in our exams as give us a word that describes something. So you will be given a definition or an explanation, and you will be required to give a scientific word or name for that word. For this particular question, we only want the name that is used to describe living things. Question number four, give 2 types of living things. In actual fact, there's only 2. So give the only 2 living things that are actually found on the biosphere. I explained this extensively, ladies and gentlemen, so simply be able to answer that as well. Question number 5, name any 3 factors of living things that we cannot live without. What is it that we as living things require or need? If we don't get these things, we cannot live without them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, quickly take that down. Remember what I've been saying also. If possible, write it down with a pen and a notepad on your side, or take a picture, or of course take a screenshot if you are using a device. Failure to do so, remember we've got these lessons, we upload them all the time. Theari has been amazing to ensure that all our lessons are actually found on the African Teen Geeks YouTube channel. So you are more than welcome to have a look at that as well, so that you can be able to watch each and every lesson we have done together for the past 6 weeks. If you do not prefer that way, of course, go to the African Teen Geeks website where you will get these lessons in PDF format, and that will assist you to go directly into the links of those lessons. I don't know if people have already answered some of these questions. I want to see on the chat box so that I deal with some concerns if there are any. All right. You will have to excuse me. I am trying to read. Unfortunately, some of the stuff I cannot comment because I see that people are speaking to themselves, which is very tempting because this is where in a classroom situation, I'd be saying, Tiana, focus. All right. I see no one has actually answered even one question. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, what I see Devang has answered. Number 3, the term that we use to describe living things is biotic. Well done, Devang. Thank you so much. Any other answer? And I like how Devang actually responded to that, because Lefa, unfortunately, organism is an incorrect answer. Living things scientifically are called biotic components. Number 4, Kuchi says plants and animals. Well done, that is correct. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we want to be doing more than anything, more than chatting, which might not actually benefit us. We want you to be responding to those questions so that we can be able to speak whether or not they are correct or whether or not we need to re-explain certain aspects. So these are the websites on the screen of all the internet resources that I used. Pay close attention to this one, www.mstworkbooks.co.za. It's a great resource website, particularly for natural sciences as well as technology. This one, www.study.com, the video was actually downloaded from that website. Also, kindly check it out. Remember what I said, ladies and gentlemen, you can access the PDF version of all these lessons, and as a result, you can be able to directly click on these links and they will take you to right to the sources of all this information. So what is it that you guys are doing tomorrow? Tomorrow you are going to be looking at, remember we are doing term 1 content in natural science grade 7 because we completed the syllabus for term 2. So tomorrow the strand that is still the focus is life and living. You are going to be looking at the 7 life processes. As I've stated, ladies and gentlemen, I will not be here today. This is going to be my last actually lesson. Lifa says, Mrs. Gren, well done, Lifa. Remember in our first lesson, we did a great mnemonic device sentence word to remember all the 7 life processes. And we said, Mrs. Gren, welcome. And we said M for growth, R for respiration, S for sensing, G for growth, and R for reproduction, E for excretion, N for nutrition, which also actually means feeding. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, this is where you can find me on Facebook. My name is Shanti Songo. And of course, remember, if you want to check out each and everything related to the STEM lockdown is school, you can find us at African Teen Geeks, at Izora, at DBE_SA, at Sasol SA. And we are saying, remember to use these hashtags so that each and every time it will be easier for people to be able to find us. Those hashtags are at Sasol Foundation, hashtag STEM champions, and of course, hashtag lockdown is school. I want to see if I can just mute some videos so that we can wave at certain people as I say goodbye to all of you.